unconscious fear, and then freedom. Okay, I think we're live here. I just felt an intuitive nudge to write and publish a post talking about with blogging. And I'm going to be transparent. This is definitely lower. This is not topical. This is the lower level stuff, actually high level stuff, but on, let's just say from the perspective of the world, we talk about topical stuff, how to get traffic, how to make money, and all this other jazz. How to, and not so much the why to, but why we have these really sometimes just completely self-sabotaging and self-punishing unconscious thought patterns. So, guys, I wrote the post because today I was thinking deeply. I tend to think pretty deeply, but I thought about various aspects of my blog, my ebooks, my online course, how shyness have surrounded them. Just various aspects where I've been shy. And for me, and I think for a lot of bloggers who maybe play a little small or don't go all in, and this doesn't come from a place of force and pushing or straining and striving. Actually, it's quite the opposite in most cases, although you may appear to be going all in with the work. This shyness comes up, guys, from deep unconscious fear, stuff that you've pushed way down for a long time. And the self-sabotaging aspect of it is you'll say you're shy, or you'll be really shy with your blog. You'll be afraid, what will friends think? What will family think? What will my wife think? What will my husband think? What will my kids, whatever, what will strangers think if they find it? So some bloggers are at least consciously aware of that fear. They don't really explore it and feel it and forgive it. But a lot of bloggers are completely unaware of this fear, this blogging shyness. It's totally unconscious, this fear. So then it fuels like an unconscious shyness of bloggers who on one level consciously, they want to be seen, want to be heard, want to help people, but then unconsciously they're terrified of interacting with people or scared because they've had unpleasant experiences earlier in life in interacting with people. And the reason I want to bring this up, guys, as far as blogging is based on my personal experience. And I share this with you because I love you. And when you love someone, you are truthful with them, with your feelings. You got to realize, guys, whether this is happening on a conscious or unconscious level, if you don't face your fears fueling shyness, and in most cases it's unconscious, the fear of people, some reason, it's going to act out in some way, shape, or form. So, long and the short of it, until you face, feel, and forgive your unconscious fears, you'll punish yourself in some way. And the freedom, the peace of mind, and the liberation comes from admitting that you have been shy and that shyness does come from fear, and then beginning to explore those fears gradually, patiently, feeling them, owning them. Because if you don't, guys, the punishment will come. And it's unconscious, and it's self-punishment. And the reason why it's self-punishment is there's one mind. I'm putting up a 5-hand, but there's just one mind. Let's just say there's one mind. It's quantum physics. You can get into deeper mind training manuals or even spiritual platitude. I shouldn't say platitude, spiritual concepts. But if you look at quantum physics, there's just one quantum. There's one mind that appears to be separate. So if you don't face your unconscious stuff in that one mind, even if you think you're dodging it, it will come back to you no matter what. So if you're shy with your blog and you're afraid of being punished unconsciously because maybe you were, like myself, sexually molested as a child, physically beaten, physically abused, and mentally abused from time to time, you could push those fears down and all the shame and the embarrassment, the grief, the rage into your unconscious. And then say if you're shy with your blog, like I've been, in certain aspects I've been, then you may avoid interactions with humans through your blog who will come along and criticize you and appear to punish you, appear to hurt you, but it'll come to you through other situations because that fear is in the one mind. So if you don't face it, then it will be delivered to you. And it's never anybody else's fault. It's never worldly success's fault. It's never money's fault. And it's not your fault. It's just that you're understanding now that the key to freedom and the key to liberation is not to blame anyone, but to understand that everything's happening on an unconscious level. So certain aspects of my blog, I've been very shy for a really long time. I mean, my ebooks, my course, my content, I've kind of put myself out there, but I haven't really based on intuitively what I've felt was the way to do it. So I was afraid unconsciously, which led to me being shy with my blog. And I was afraid unconsciously because when I was younger, I experienced deep fear through various forms of abuse. And those experiences until now, and I've mentioned them in passing, but I had largely been afraid to talk about them, not only because I felt a bit ashamed and embarrassed, humiliated, maybe enraged a bit, but I also felt if that got out there, that I went through these severe forms of abuse that were very, very difficult, that I would embarrass, shame, or humiliate others. So that's the way that unconscious guilt works. And that's the way the unconscious works. You're so afraid for yourself, for others, for the world. You're terrified and you push it lower and lower, and then it appears to manifest or act out as you mentally injuring yourself ultimately, and not that you're even aware of it. So you just be like, I'm shy. I'm a shy blogger, I'm holding back, and you may be aware of it, you may not. But until you start to get into the unconscious stuff, it's always going to fuel the belief in your mind that you're shy. And then you'll either play small with your blog, or unconsciously you'll play small without even being aware of it. And then you'll come against real strong resistance and frustration, because on a conscious level, you're like, I want a ton of readers. I want a ton of followers. I want a lot of money. I want a lot of traffic. I want to help a lot of people. So that's what's happening on a conscious level, all those conscious ones. Unconsciously, you are fucking terrified that from earlier in life, when you interact with some human beings, it means that you'll have the shit kicked out of you, or you'll be screamed at, or people will run out of the house and say they hate you, or you'll be sexually molested. So even though this sounds really uncomfortable, you've probably learned by now that the world you live in is not a world of perfection. On a level of form, it's a shithole. And you'll hear people say it's a miracle and life's very special and all this jazz, but it was made in hate and it's held together by hate. And there's a few very important points to understand now when I say that. Everybody dies, so we live in a death wish. You do realize that 7-8 billion people on planet Earth, largely until they liberate their minds and face their unconscious guilt, that they're controlled with fear and punishment. When you break worldly laws, nobody gives you a cookie, do they? No, nobody gives you a hug and gives you love. It's fear and punishment. So most of the minds here unconscious have so much unconscious fear and guilt that they approve of the fear and punishment, both for themselves and then others, or just others and not themselves. But it's a sick place at a level of form. That's why it's an illusion. If it were real, then, it would be like, you're afraid of going to hell, you're already there. But getting back to blogging, I wanted to give that some context. You're going to see that your liberation and your freedom is only going to come, Cat has to leave the room, from you exploring these unconscious fears that come up in a place, this world, That's an illusion, but that can be quite hellish. And again, if you want evidence, when I was a little kid, I was very sweet and kind, and I was molested sexually. Like, I didn't put that on anybody. And obviously, that wasn't a miracle, was it? When I was molested sexually, was that a beautiful thing? So, or when I had the shit kicked out of me, or when there was mental abuse. Now, again, there's no blaming. No, no, no. It's everybody's acting out or unconscious. Even when you're young and that like really rough stuff appears to happen, it's always the one mind. You have to bring yourself back to that. But if you repress this stuff and then you're like, oh, I'm just shy, and then you start running into all types of struggles because your shyness, conscious level, I want to meet people, unconscious, make him shy. Be shy. People are dangerous. People are embarrassing. There's a lot of shame in interacting with people. You'll have really horrible circumstances with people. You'll have some good ones and you have some bad ones. You'll be, you appear to be innocent on a conscious level, and then really horrific things will happen. Push it down, push it down. It's embarrassing. And I remember so many years I was just, to even think about the sexual thing, it was just such a horrible, horrible feeling. And then the world is so sick. For the longest time when I was younger, it's such an insane, savage world. You guys have probably noticed for the longest time, guys were made fun of or joke around. It's because most people, it's just, they'd rather be hanging from a noose, honestly, than face their unconscious guilt. I mean that on a literal level. I'm not joking. It's unpleasant, but like, why would you wish that on someone other than you hating yourself? And again, it's the unconscious mind. But guys, you have to explore this stuff and start feeling these emotions. And sometimes you'll appear to have gone through really horrible situations from earlier in life that you pushed down. And other times, maybe according to the egoic script, your life is a little more chill. Maybe it was one of those magical lives. Or maybe there were situations in your life that were, on a worldly level, they appeared to be slights that were perceived in absolutely dramatic fashion that you've pushed down and have created mental trauma, which are fueling your conscious shyness or your unconscious shyness. So my thing is, guys, if you're struggling with your blog in any way, shape, or form, you want to consider exploring this aspect of blogging. Am I shy? Am I holding back? Am I afraid? What will my wife think? What will my husband think? What will my parents think? I remember times when I was blogging, what will my friends think? And it was all me. It was all the fear in my mind, but I was just so afraid of what people thought about it and what people thought about me. And that caused me to hold back a bit. It did. And it wasn't their fault, and it wasn't even my fault. You see, it's not a matter of a victim. It's just, it was happening on an unconscious level. So you could work so hard, or you could even not work hard, or you could say, oh, it's pointless, or it's hopeless, or what's the point? Just like, what's the point anyway? I've struggled for so long. Now, there's one thing I want to share too. There's some aspects of my blog where I've been shy, but there's other aspects where I've definitely felt a lot of unconscious fears and forgave them. You feel it, then you look past the fear. So that's another thing I wanted to add. Like, as you could see, I've, on a worldly level, various points in my career, as the world would judge it, I've achieved some highs of highs. And then I've experienced some lows of lows. And being transparent has helped me keep my sanity, has helped me face a lot of fear. And I think it's helped a lot of readers of Blogging from Paradise, my ebook customers, my course customer, my loyal readers, my followers, because they appreciate someone who's really genuine, he's really transparent, he's willing to create a video like this. Until you face your unconscious stuff, you're gonna self-sabotage and self-punish, and it will come to you through all types of directions. And it's never the outside's fault. It's always the world acting out what you really believe on an unconscious level. Who you really are is limitless and abstract. That's your identity. I want to say it's your only identity. It's your identity. The other stuff, the bodies, the world, the separation, all this genuinely unpleasant I was gonna see if the dog's gonna go out or not. Experience that we have here, that's gonna keep, in essence, it's gonna be a play for you. Your life is similar to a movie, a play, or as Shakespeare would probably like to say, a tale told by an idiot, because most of us are listening to the ego, the unconscious fear, and not spirit or intuition, whatever you want to call it, the voice for love. So when you start to understand this idea, it could start to motivate you at least, or at least to think about getting into your unconscious and seeing with your blog how you feel at a conscious level, like you want worldly success and you want to help people. But then if there's some type of obstacle, block, struggle, nothing seems to be coming together, there's stuff in your unconscious that's causing it, the world to act that out. And one of the things with me, I was shy because critics, when I've experienced and encountered them, whether for my ebooks or for my course or for just my blog in general or my writing, I've forgiven a lot of their stuff, but there's still stuff with them. And I remember last month I came across someone, and I do from time to time, where he just mocked me for my writing. And the first thing that came up in my mind was, be calm, be calm. And then I sat with what was there in my unconscious, and I thought, this guy is an asshole. And then in the next thought, I thought, well, you'd rather project it out than hurt himself or kill himself or take it out on himself. So it was this process of everything's either love or a call for love, aka fear, the critic stuff. And it's also seeing like, okay, I want to keep expanding here, because for the longest time I was shy and played small because I didn't want to come across individuals like this, critics like this, who are mentally injured, because they'd start bringing up the rage or the embarrassment or shame from when I was abused as a child that I pushed way down, because I was very ashamed and embarrassed to talk about it. And I was also ashamed and embarrassed when it went out there into the world, because, oh my God, what will others think? We keep that secret. We don't talk about that. That's embarrassing and shameful to everybody. And this is part of this world being an illusion, because it's a hellhole. Everything but God is a metaphor. Think about that one, right? It didn't come from me. It came from a book called A Course in Miracles. But when you look at this world really closely, and just like kind of the hate that binds it and the fear, you'll understand that getting into your unconscious is really important. Because think about these type of places where that's what's going on, and that it's largely accepted at a level of scale, and people attacking each other all the time and then not going into their unconscious. You see? So the freedom comes from digging way deep and saying, how do I really feel about my blog? What's really happening? And on an intimately personal level, if you will, beginning to see how your struggles are created by fear, probably in your conscious mind on some level, but then definitely in your unconscious. And when you get into the unconscious fears, sometimes the experiences will appear to have been dramatic. The fears will appear to have been dramatic. But when you feel them and you understand that they're just emotions in your mind, even if they're really rough, and then you express them and look past them, you'll be free of them. It's just emotions, even if they feel really bad. And of course, guys, if you start getting into that really deep stuff, seek out professional help, because you might start stirring up some rough stuff. Almost all of us are repressing all types of stuff, and you could see how the world, that's called projection. You do that when you're fucking scared as shit unconsciously, and rather than face it, feel it, and forgive it to become the illusion, showing people your love, you project fear onto them. And that's because of your unconscious. It's what fuels the world. It's not a pleasant place. It's like, I, guys, you got to take the blind. That's the beauty of it. When you hold it dear, and then you holding a place dear where people just take everything out on each other and blame each other and don't face their own unconscious stuff and victim, your life's going to get worse and worse. And you'll keep saying it's definitely out there. But in the course and just in general with mind training and ascended masters, the mystics, they'll say, no, 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 bring it back in. Yeshua from the course and Buddha and just Srimana Maharshi. So for a blog, if the world's acting out struggles, it's happening because you're unconscious, and you're going to have to get into your fears. Once you clear them out, then you'll start feeling more relaxed and peaceful, and you'll start generating these abundant ideas, and you'll get this underscoring feeling of like, yeah, it's time to do this. Go ahead, go do this. Go ahead, go do that. And you won't really be as attached to the actions because you'll success will follow, but it's really more about the fun and the peace of mind, because ultimately that's what we want. We want peace of mind and fun and to be free. And that's where the worldly freedom happens too. But really, it's the mental freedom. So there are definitely aspects of my blogging campaign where I've conquered some shyness and other fears, unconscious fears. And then there's some where I'm still forgiving it and working on it. You'll never have peace and be free until you understand that the world acts out your unconscious belief because it's one mind. You'll never have peace of mind as a blogger and freedom and be able to help an increasing number of people in the world, aka drive the quality traffic, and then build something business wise, income wise, that feels more sustaining and consistent until you keep getting deeper and deeper, even though it's because the world's insane. You cannot blame another human being, groups of human beings, inanimate numbers on a screen, your readers, your blog, the economy, the president, the senators, the world, the atmosphere, the global warming, the global cooling, polar bears dying, Bigfoot, spotted owl, uh, your abuse, their lack of abuse, not having rich parents, having rich parents, your brother, your sister won't talk to you, your sisters that won't talk to you, your brother that won't talk to you, your brother that be external to your mind. Yet since the world's sick mentally, which is why it's the illusion, that's all it does, right? It says, out there is the problem, punish, you're the guilty one. And that helps me run away from my unconscious mind, my unconscious guilt and fear that you've split from perfection. That's the unconscious guilt. So when you really start stepping it back, from a place of wisdom, all the world's a stage, life wise and blogging wise, of course, within there, that's acting out. And if you are really shy, either consciously or unconsciously, "Oh, I'm afraid of what they'll think. Oh, I'm afraid. Oh, I'm playing small. I'm back on being patient." You're hiding from humans because you're afraid of what may happen when you interact with a bunch of humans. And here's another one: when you interact with a bunch of loving, loyal fans who flock to your blog. You may be too supportive to have people uncomfortable. It could feel horrifying because then it will bring up a lot of your self-hate from the unconscious. So it feels far safer and more comfortable, even if there's misery there, to be shy and to avoid that stuff. But here's the kicker, guys. In the quantum, the punishment's coming to you. So you may avoid it through your blog, but then it comes through a special relationship or a loved one or a stranger or your dog or whatever is going on in the one quantum mind. The pets may be annoying. The kids are screaming. The dog crapped the bed. The economy tanked. Your boss is pissed. They're all part of the one quantum mind. There's no separation. They act out what you believe, but most of it you've pushed way out of awareness. That's why some really, really nice people who are so kind, they're horrible, obviously, but they hate themselves, so the world acts that out. It's easy to see when you take off the blinders, but if you have a ton of unconscious fear yourself, you'll say, no, it happened to them, unconscious crap to explore. And you don't explore it all at once from putting yourself out there and not seeking popularity, but being genuine and helpful and trusting and continuing to explore those fears that come up from your unconscious. So guys, that's it for today. About 23 minutes in. As a call to action, you could always stop by bloggingfromparadise.com or go into smart blogging tips and then a lot of the mindset stuff. So if you're prepared to go into the heavier stuff, I do a lot of practical stuff too, which is very good. So feel free to explore that. But the heavier mindset stuff, maybe you're going through some real struggles with your blog. There could be deeper stuff that. That's it, guys.